"Mom, you really need to stop being so paranoid about money." That's what my son Derek said to me the day I asked him why there was only $800 left in my savings account. The same account that had $63,000 in it just 3 years earlier. I remember standing in my kitchen, holding my bank statement with shaking hands, and watching my only child, the boy I raised alone after his father died, look me straight in the eye and tell me I was imagining things. Before I tell you what happened next, don't forget to subscribe if you love true stories like this, and tell me in the comments, what would you have done if this happened to you? My name is Margaret. I'm 67 years old. And this is the story of how my son used my own money to control me, isolate me, and nearly destroy everything I'd worked for, until one piece of paper changed everything. It started innocently enough. Or at least that's what I told myself. Derek moved back home when he was 32. He'd lost his job in marketing. His girlfriend had left him, and he had nowhere else to go. As a mother, you don't hesitate. You open your door. You make up the guest room. You tell yourself it's temporary. "Just until I get back on my feet, Mom," he said, carrying his boxes up the stairs. Maybe 3 months tops. 3 months became 6. 6 became a year. First I didn't mind. The house felt less empty with him there. We'd have dinner together, watch old movies, talk about his job applications. He seemed to be trying. He'd dress up for interviews, update his resume, network online. But nothing ever came through. "The market's tough right now," he'd say, scrolling through his phone at breakfast. "Everyone wants 10 years of experience for entry-level positions." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He was my son. Then came the day that changed everything. I was organizing my home office. Just routine paperwork, bills, bank statements. Derek walked in and saw me struggling with my checkbook. "Mom, why are you still doing all this by hand?" he asked, leaning against the doorframe. "You know they have apps for this now, right?" I laughed. "I'm old-fashioned, honey. I like seeing everything on paper." He walked over and sat down across from me. His expression shifted to something that looked like concern. "Mom, I need to talk to you about something." Pause. "I've been noticing. You're forgetting things lately. Little things. You asked me the same question twice yesterday. And last week, you forgot you'd already paid the electric bill and paid it again." My stomach tightened. "I did." "Yeah." He reached across and gently took the checkbook from my hands. "And I'm worried. Dad had memory issues before he passed, remember? Maybe it runs in the family." That seed of doubt, that tiny suggestion that my mind was failing, it planted itself deep. Over the next few months, Derek became increasingly involved in my finances. It was gradual, so gradual I didn't see it happening. First, he offered to help with the bills. "Just let me handle the utilities, Mom. You focus on yourself." Then he suggested moving to online banking. "It's safer. Less chance of fraud." I resisted at first. "I've managed my own money for 40 years, Derek." "I know, Mom. I know." Pause. "But things are different now. Scammers target older people. I just want to protect you." The way he said older people, it stung. Made me feel fragile. Incompetent. Eventually I gave him access to my checking account. Just to pay the monthly bills, I told myself. I'd still monitor everything. But then he suggested something else. "Mom, you have $63,000 in savings just sitting there, earning almost nothing. Let me help you invest it. I've been studying the market. We could grow this money for your future." "Derek, that money is for emergencies. It's my security. And it'll still be there," he said, excited now, animated. "I'm not talking about anything risky. Just some basic index funds. Smart, safe investing. Dad would have wanted you to be financially savvy." Bringing up my late husband was a low blow. But it worked. Within a month, Derek had convinced me to add him as a joint account holder on my savings. Just in case something happens to you, Mom. This way there's no legal hassle. It's standard estate planning. I signed the papers. I trusted my son. Looking back, the red flags were everywhere. I just didn't want to see them. Derek stopped going to job interviews. When I asked about it, he'd get defensive. I'm working on something better, Mom. Building my own thing. Freelance consulting. But I never saw him working. He'd sleep until 11, spend hours on his phone, go out at night and come home late. Sometimes he wouldn't come home at all. I was at a networking event, he'd explain. Or, had to meet a potential client. The grocery bills started increasing. Our modest weekly shopping trips turned into expensive hauls, premium cuts of meat, imported cheeses, craft beers I never drank. You deserve to eat well, Mom, Derek would say, unpacking bags full of things I hadn't asked for. My credit card bill climbed from $1,200 a month to $3,000, then $4,000. When I questioned it, Derek had answers ready. Mom, you authorized those purchases. Remember, you said I could use your card for household expenses. But $4,000. Mom. He'd take my hand, look at me with what seemed like genuine worry. We talked about this last Tuesday. You don't remember. And the terrible thing was, I wasn't sure. Had we talked about it? Was I forgetting? The doubt became a constant companion. The financial control was only part of it. Derek started controlling who I saw. My sister Linda called one day, wanting to visit from Oregon. I was thrilled. We hadn't seen each other in over a year. But when I told Derek, his face clouded. Aunt Linda. Mom, seriously. She just wants to check on your money. You know how she is. Always thought Dad left you too much in the will. That's not true, Derek. Linda never. Mom. He sat down next to me, his voice dropping to something almost gentle. I know you love her. But I've heard her on the phone. She asks about your accounts, about the house. She's already planning what to do when you're gone. I called Linda back and told her it wasn't a good time. I heard the hurt in her voice. The same thing happened with my friend Carol from church. And my neighbor Ruth, who'd invite me for coffee every Sunday. They're not really your friends, Mom. They're lonely people who drain your energy. You always come home exhausted after seeing them. One by one, Derek created distance between me and everyone else in my life. Within a year, my world had shrunk to just the two of us. To wake up, make Derek breakfast, spend the day in the house, mostly alone while he was out doing God knows. He'd come home. We'd have dinner, watch TV, repeat. I was isolated, controlled. And I didn't even fully realize it yet. The moment I knew something was desperately wrong came on a random Thursday in March. I needed to buy a new washing machine. Ours had finally given out after 18 years. I went online to check my savings account balance. I still had the login information, even though Derek managed everything. $63,000. That's what should have been there. The screen loaded. $847. I sat there, staring at my computer screen, my heart hammering in my chest. I clicked through the transaction history. Withdrawals. Dozens of them. Some for a few hundred. Some for several thousand. Transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. Purchases at stores I'd never been to. 3 years of my savings. The money I'd carefully saved from my teaching pension. The life insurance payout from my husband's death, gone. When Derek came home that evening, I was waiting in the kitchen with a bank statement printed out. Derek. My voice was steady, but my hands weren't. I need you to explain this. He glanced at the paper and for just a second, just 1 second, I saw something flicker across his face. Not guilt, not remorse, irritation. Then his expression shifted to concern. Mom, what are you talking about? My savings. There's only $800 left. Where did $62,000 go? Mom. He sighed like I was a child who'd forgotten her homework. We went over this. Remember? We reinvested that money. Moved it to a better account with higher returns. I showed you all the paperwork. No, Derek. You didn't. Yes, I did. He pulled out his phone, started scrolling like he was checking something. It was 6 months ago. We sat right here at this table. You signed everything. Show me the account then. It's in a managed fund, Mom. I can't just pull it up on my phone. There's a whole process. Derek. I stood up. Joe. Me. Account. Mom, you really need to stop being so paranoid about money. This is exactly what I was worried about. The memory issues, the confusion. Maybe we need to talk to your doctor about. There is nothing wrong with my memory. The words came out louder than I intended. I want to see proof that my money still exists. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he stood up, grabbed his jacket, and walked toward the door. I can't do this right now. You're being irrational. We'll talk when you've calmed down. He left, and I sat alone in my kitchen, trembling, knowing with absolute certainty that my son had stolen from me. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in my bedroom with my laptop, going through every bank statement, every credit card bill, every transaction I could find for the past 3 years. The evidence was overwhelming. Derek had spent my money on everything. Expensive dinners, bar tab, online shopping, cash withdrawals at ATMs, payments to a woman named Jessica, probably a girlfriend I'd never met. He'd taken my life savings and burned through it, funding his lifestyle while I lived like a prisoner in my own home. The rage I felt was unlike anything I'd experienced. But I didn't confront him again. I'd learned something important that night. Derek was prepared to gaslight me, to make me doubt my own sanity, to paint me as a confused old woman who couldn't manage her own affairs. If I was going to fight back, I needed to be smarter. The next morning, I called my sister Linda. We hadn't spoken in 8 months. Linda, I need your help. I heard the shock in her voice. Margaret. Oh my God, are you okay? No, I'm not. But I will be. Pause. I need the name of a good attorney. Linda gave me 3 names. I chose an attorney named Patricia Monroe, a woman in her 50s who specialized in elder financial abuse. I met with her the following week while Derek was out. I brought every document I had. Patricia listened to everything, looked through the evidence, and when I finished, she leaned back in her chair. Margaret, your son has committed financial exploitation. This is a crime. I know. You could press charges. This is felony theft in most cases. I don't want to send my son to prison, I said quietly. I want my life back. Patricia nodded. Then here's what we're going to do. She explained something called a constructive trust, a legal mechanism that would allow me to reclaim assets that had been wrongfully taken. She also drafted 2 other documents, a formal demand letter and a revocation of joint account access. But the most important document was something simpler. A durable power of attorney revocation. Derek had never established legal power of attorney over me. I'd never signed such a document. But he'd operated as though he had that authority. Patricia's letter made it crystal clear. Derek had no legal right to my accounts, my assets, or my financial decisions. The letter gave him 14 days to return all funds or face civil litigation and criminal charges. I had the documents hand-delivered to Derek by a process server. I was sitting in the living room when it happened. Derek came through the front door, talking on his phone, barely glancing at the man in the suit who handed him an envelope. Then he opened it. I watched his face change. The color drained. His eyes scanned the pages faster and faster. His hand started shaking. He looked up at me. What the hell is this? It's a legal document, Derek. I believe you know how to read. Derek tried everything. First came anger. You're actually suing me. Your own son. After everything I've done for you. I didn't respond. Then came manipulation. Mom, I can explain all of this. That lawyer is just trying to scare you. They want your money. No, Derek. You wanted my money. And you took it. Then came desperation. He tried to access the bank accounts. They were frozen. Patricia had moved quickly. Filed for an emergency protective order based on the evidence of financial exploitation. He tried to negotiate. Okay. Let's just talk about this. Can pay you back. I just need time. You have 14 days. As stated in the letter. What surprised me most was what he said next. Mom, I'm your son. Doesn't that mean anything? I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw a stranger. Yes, Derek. You're my son. Which is why this hurts more than you'll ever understand. Pause. You didn't just steal money. You stole my trust, my dignity, my sense of reality. You made me doubt myself every single day for 3 years. He tried to speak. I held up my hand. You have 14 days. If the money isn't returned, criminal charges will be filed. The attorney has already contacted the district attorney's office. They're very interested in cases of elder financial abuse. Derek left that night. He moved out within 3 days. Derek couldn't return the full amount. Most of it was gone. Spent, wasted, vanished into 3 years of careless living. But through the legal proceedings, Patricia was able to recover $31,000. Some of it came from assets Derek had purchased with my money. A car he'd bought, electronics, investments in his name that were legally traceable to my accounts. It wasn't everything. But it was justice. The court also ruled that Derek had engaged in financial exploitation. It's on his record now. He was ordered to pay restitution for the remainder, though I doubt I'll ever see all of it. I don't care. What mattered was getting my life back. I'm 70 now. 3 years have passed since that legal document changed everything. My sister Linda visits every few months. I've reconnected with Carol and Ruth. I volunteer at the church again. I've even started a small support group for older adults dealing with financial abuse from family members. You'd be surprised how common it is. Derek and I have had minimal contact. He sent me an email on my birthday this year. Just 2 sentences. Happy birthday, Mom. I hope you're well. I didn't respond. Not out of cruelty but out of boundaries. Some people have asked me if I regret taking legal action against my own son. If I wish I'd handled it differently. My answer is no. What Derek did wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment. It was calculated. Methodical. He isolated me, manipulated me, and stole from me while looking me in the eye and making me question my own sanity. That's not love. That's abuse. And the hardest lesson I've learned is this. Pause. Sometimes the people who hurt us most are the ones we're taught we should protect above all else. But protecting them shouldn't mean sacrificing ourselves. The document that changed everything wasn't magic. It was simply the law, used correctly at the right moment. It reminded me that I had rights, that I had worth, that my money, my home, and my life were mine. Not his to control, not his to take. If you're experiencing something similar, if someone is using your love, your trust, or your resources against you, please know this. You are not confused. You are not imagining things. And you are not powerless. There are people who can help. There are laws that protect you. And there is a way out. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to set a boundary that cannot be crossed. Even if the person crossing it is your own child. My name is Margaret. I'm 70 years old. And I took my life back. One legal document at a time. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe for more stories about truth, betrayal, and redemption. And tell me in the comments, Have you ever had to set a difficult boundary with someone you loved? What did you learn? Thank you for listening.